seen something like that.
This is Caitlin Clark signing autographs ahead of today's game. As you can imagine, it was a madhouse.
Angel Reese straight up broke down after Brazil pulled a full red carpet moment for Caitlin Clark. Like autograph lines, selfies, the whole Hollywood treatment. Her own game barely pulled in enough people to fill a food court, and the only ones cheering were probably there for the air conditioning.
A lot of Angel Reese fans are not basketball fans, and they are proving it. They proved it last night without a shadow of a doubt. That was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen.
This is the same Angel who once claimed the world was watching her too. Well, sis, they must have had their eyes closed this time.
Yeah, the reason why we watching women's basketball is not just because of one person, it's because of me too, and I want y'all to...
And this time it's hurting our pretty crying girl so much because Angel Reese showed up to her preseason debut like she was about to headline a sold-out tour.
Yeah, people are watching, not just because of one person. All right, but they're watching because of me too. Me too. They're playing at LSU. There are people right now, her fans. You know what?
What actually happened was crickets. Literal echoes bouncing off empty chairs. And if you listened close enough, you could probably hear the janitor yawning.
Now, you're not going to hear this from the mainstream media, who continues to pretend that the Bayou Barbie is beloved. Angel Reese is not a draw.
The hype that once followed her around like a parade float was gone.
On the negative side, Angel Reese fans, LSU fans, all of you who tell us, oh my God, what a big super.
The self-declared queen of women's basketball couldn't even pack a section, let alone a stadium. Official headcount said 6,273. But let's not kid ourselves. Half of those were probably lost tourists or arena staff pretending to care.
You know, end the argument that there is any sort of other needle mover that is even remotely close to Caitlin Clark.
It wasn't just a bad turnout. It was embarrassing. Angel's online fan base loves to act loud and loyal when they're hiding behind usernames. But when it comes to actually showing up, they can be found nowhere. Not a single chant, not a sign, not even a pity applause.
Twitter fingers turn to can't even show up and buy ticket fingers. Angel Reese going home to her alma mater, LSU, plays against the Brazilian national team in front of 6,370.
But leave it to Angel to still deliver a headline-worthy quote after the flop. She stood there, post-game once, and with full confidence said, "It's not just because of one person, it's because of me, too." The delusion was working overtime. Like girl, read the room. The stands were empty, the vibe was dead, and you really thought you shared the spotlight? Caitlin Clark didn't even need to be in the building, and her absence still made more noise than your whole performance.
Brazil, their coaching had no answer whatsoever for Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark clocked in for just 18 minutes against Brazil, and in that short window, she turned the court into a masterclass in humiliation.
How are you? Good, how are you?
You're an amazing player. Congratulations.
Thanks.
You're changing the history of
I
basketball.
appreciate it. Thanks for coming here and playing us. Most people you've played in front of.
Not for herself, never that, but for the opposing team, their coaching staff, and anyone still entertaining the idea that she might just be hype. This wasn't just basketball. It was a broadcast of dominance with timestamps.
Now, again, we're talking about a non-WNBA team that we're playing. I want to be fair. It was an unbelievable game to watch on television. It looked great. The crowd was into it. It was fired up. Social media was fired up during the game.
She logged 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists with a plus-minus of floor 42. Yes, floor 42. That means while she was on the floor, her team outscored Brazil by 42 points in under 20 minutes. For reference, an episode of Friends runs 22 minutes without commercials. Caitlin didn't even need a full sitcom to put up a stat line that most guards wish they could post across 4 quarters.
I'm glad the season is getting underway. I was fired up. I stood up out of my seat several times, and it's back.
This wasn't about volume scoring or showboating. She hit shots from logo range, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, without breaking a sweat. One of them came with 30 seconds left in the third, a casual pull-up 3 from 36 feet. She didn't even plan it. She just looked up, realized it was 2-for-1 territory, and thought, might as well launch one. Splash, timeout, standing ovation, walked off like it was routine, because for her, it is.
Boom. Boom. She knocked it down. That was to start the game. And then this one right here, this was...
She wasn't just scoring, she was architecting. Her assists weren't basic swing passes. They were full-court lasers and offhand dimes in traffic. In the first half, she dropped a 3-quarter court pass to teammate Dewana Bonner that looked more like a quarterback highlight than a point guard read. One floater bounced just right off the rim and turned into an easy putback, but even the misses felt calculated. Her timing, her pace, her vision, this wasn't gameplay, it was choreography.
The Carver Hawkeye Arena, the Fever, and Brazil, well, it's 108-44.
The Fever won 108-44. Brazil never stood a chance, but that's not even the shocking part. What shook the arena was how casual Caitlin made it all look. She didn't play the full game. She didn't have to. She played just long enough to hand out a basketball tutorial and exit before the fourth quarter even got interesting.
Believable response from those fans. So, I couldn't help myself. I just couldn't.
Meanwhile, the atmosphere surrounding that game could have powered a playoff final.
So this is what an actual crowd looks like. Chloe Peterson put this up. That is a sold-out arena. 14,998 people. That's all it could hold. They all showed up in Caitlin Clark's college arena.
Carver Hawkeye Arena was filled to its 14,998 seat capacity, and tickets were going for over $200 for a preseason matchup.
Caitlin Clark breaking the record at $440 per average ticket to get into this game. That record was rebroken and increased to $670 per ticket. Couldn't help myself. Haters read it and weep. That's right.
A preseason game featuring an international opponent that hadn't cracked WNBA highlights in years. Yet the building was shaking like it was Game 7 of the finals.
This is Scott Agnes. He put pictures up. This is the line from outside the arena to get in for this game.
Fans didn't just show up. They screamed, they chanted, they erupted every time Clark pulled up from deep, every time she threaded a pass, every time she even moved toward the ball.
People were tailgating out there like it was the NFL to get in.
The arena was vibrating. The energy wasn't hype, it was belief. It was knowing that you were watching something rare, something generational. You don't get that with forced promotion. You don't get it with viral tweets or choreographed entrances. You get it when your presence alone sells out an arena before you even touch the ball.
When Caitlin was on the floor, the Indiana Fever's offense was so good. It was so good. But early on, obviously, she's trying to get everyone involved. The team's trying to get everyone involved. But then as soon as she got into a situation where she was able to... She was just kind of...
Caitlin Clark didn't ask for any of that. She didn't need to. She walked in, handled her business, and let her game do what it always does, control the conversation. And speaking of coaches, Brazil's staff, who came in trying everything from blitzes to hedges to full denial, ended the game in awe. Players were posing for selfies. Jerseys were being signed. Brazil didn't just lose, they got converted. That's not basketball. That's diplomacy in sneakers.
She hit that deep three, she started pushing the floor a little bit. And after, again, she hit the second three, they started pressing up on her. So they went from normal defense to pressing her at half court, which is fine. And then they started blitzing everything.
And this all happened just days after Angel Reese had her own debut. A debut that, by contrast, felt like a scrimmage at a rec center. Reese's attendance barely crossed 6,300, with no buzz, no lines, no chant, no noise. A game so quiet it could have been held in a library. Meanwhile, Clark walks in, draws 5 figures, and leaves with half a dozen new highlight clips in a stadium full of witnesses.
They were denying Caitlin Clark from half court. And they did not care what happened. They were just denying Caitlin Clark. And there was a couple of times where Caitlin Clark was, again, the shots that she hit were crazy shots.
And can you believe after a 108-44 blowout at Carver Hawkeye Arena, the Brazilian national team didn't sulk, didn't storm off, didn't pretend to be unfazed. They lined up, literally. Phones out, jerseys in hand, eyes wide like teenagers backstage at a Beyoncé concert. Players who had spent 4 quarters trying, and failing, to defend her were now giggling in selfies and clutching their signed jerseys like they were pieces of history. Because they were. Caitlin Clark, in 18 minutes of gameplay, had left such an impact that the opponents wanted receipts. They didn't just respect her, they revered her.
The shot she shot was from any way normal range for a player. Like, even the 3 she shot at the inbounds, they tried to guard her like she was a normal player, and suddenly she just takes a half a step in from the sideline and just pulls. Like, these players had never seen something like that.
Even Brazil's head coach, a seasoned figure who's seen generations of basketball pass through his clipboard, was visibly stunned. This was admiration that left his face trying to keep up with what he'd just witnessed. His players didn't need a translator to feel it. This wasn't just talent, this was presence. And this whole spectacle, this signing the opponent's jersey energy, it's something we haven't seen since 1992. Back then, it was the dream team, Jordan, Bird, Magic, who had rival teams lining up for photos like it was Comic-Con. Now, in 2024, it's Caitlin Clark. That's the tier we're talking about.
They did a good job of not letting Caitlin Clark take easy shots. Caitlin Clark just made them all. Like, Caitlin Clark, outside of... And, like, I understand the first possession of the game was an easy shot for Caitlin Clark.
And yet, rewind just a few days and the scene looked completely different. Same Brazilian team, same arena, same energy potential. But this time, it was Angel Reese on the court. And nothing happened. No selfies, no jersey signings, no quote from the coach about witnessing something transcendent. Just a regular preseason game with a regular performance that barely registered on the hype meter.
A lot of Angel Reese fans are not basketball fans, and they are proving it. They proved it last night without a shadow of a doubt. That was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. You might be like, well, Rhodes, what was so embarrassing?
Brazil didn't line up for Angel. They didn't circle around her postgame. They didn't hand over jerseys or chant her name or shower her with praise. Not one Brazilian player asked for an autograph. Not one camera captured a fan moment. She left the floor the same way she entered it, unnoticed.
I don't want to hear ever again anyone ever tell me that there's anyone that's like Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. I don't ever want to hear it again. Nobody. There is nobody like her. I'm not glazing her. I'm telling the truth.
Her numbers were fine. 15 points, 10 rebounds. Technically a double-double. But it didn't feel like anything. Instead of momentum, Reese left the game with vibes and subtweets. Online, she posted cryptic content. No name drops, no direct shots, just the usual coded defiance. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark didn't have to say anything at all. Her stat line and Brazil's reaction did the talking.
Embarrassing. Now, you're not going to hear this from the mainstream media who continues to pretend that the Bayou Barbie is beloved. You're not going to hear this from the media who continues to pretend that Angel Reese is a huge star.
And the irony? Before the Fever game even started, Brazil's players danced on Caitlin Clark's logo at center court. A moment caught on camera. They laughed, they jumped, they made a show out of it. For a second, it looked like confidence. After the game, they were holding out Sharpies like autograph hounds. That's the difference. One player earns her opponent's applause. The other earns blank stares and a missed layup reel. The same team that gave Reese nothing gave Caitlin Clark everything, because Clark took it. Not with talk, not with tweets, not with a flashy entrance, just with pure execution, presence, and undeniable brilliance. So what do you think was Brazil's reaction? Pure respect or a full-on coronation? Let us know below.